Files talk about Gordon Gray?
Gordon
Gray.
Gray.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar
Gordon
with
Gray
it.
was the MJ-12 member, and James Files has personal recollections of meeting him and talking to him.
Oh,
Go ahead,
yeah.
Jim.
MJ-12.
Files.
Dayton, Ohio, and Patterson Air Force Base. And as far as I know, it's still there.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, the CIA, of course.
Gordon Gray was one of the members of MJ-12.
Yeah, the CIA made people disappear. Bob Lazar came out. He was working at S4, which is about 12 miles away from Main side at Area 51. And that's where they had most of the stuff going on with the aliens and their flight equipment. And Bob Lazar came out and said that he had figured out how they were engineering the saucers, how to make them fly.
Reverse engineering.
Element 150.
Yeah, and he came out with another element. I think it was maybe 119, and they said there is no such. What is it? 116. 115. Okay, yeah, I was close.
150.
Anyway, yeah, he came out with that, and at the time he came out with it, they washed his whole life away. I mean, they went and there's no. I don't know if he ever had They took a birth certificate away. They took his colleges that he went to away. They erased him from the world, and then.
Right.
Unfortunately, they missed one thing. He had been in another government facility in New Mexico, and he had his phone directory from that, and his name was listed in there and what his telephone number was. So they missed that. But most people that are looking at that, they know that Bob Lazar is on the level.
Well, Bob Lazar is on the level, and just like me, they erased most of my life. It's very hard to find part of it. But Joe West found part of my history at the archives in St. Louis, and he went back there.
You mean John C. Grady?
John C. Grady, I mean.
82nd Airborne.
He was the historian for the 82nd Airborne. He went back there, I don't know, 6-7 weeks later, and the folder was empty. He said, no further evidence available. The label on the ticket. They had a fire in the archives. Another thing that burned up was 1959, Operation Mobile White Star.
Yeah.
And some of my friends, finally, they dug deep enough into it, and they found out that Mobile White Star did exist in Laos. And they interviewed Fletcher Prouty, and he said, yes, that was one of his men.
That's right. So they tried real hard, but sometimes there's always a couple of things they don't do.
It's like me. A couple of things that I had, like cards of who I was or where I traveled at. And I also had the nickel with the double 5 on it, which is the airborne, is known as the double nickel that was in 82nd Airborne. As with 100, I think it's 122nd, was double nickel. When you walked in, you laid it on the bar, and your first drink was like on the house. And that went missing also while I was doing time.
It's amazing with all the information that you have, Files, that they haven't taken you out, because I have mentioned some of this stuff, and MJ-12 does not mess around. They will come after you and eliminate you. So I'm happy that you're still here with all the information. You're saying stuff on a level I haven't heard before, so it's very impressive. Jim, you have something else you want to, or Scott, you have something else you want to say?
Have y'all heard of this? It's called the SOM 1, Special Operations Manual 1. Have y'all ever heard of that? It's a top secret document involving extraterrestrials. It was mailed in a film canister to researcher years ago, and some people somehow get copies of these documents, and it was published in 1954. I don't know, is that reversed, or can you see it okay?
Not great, but
I
if
think
you take the
gave
plastic
us
off the
a
front,
copy of
Are the letters
yeah,
reversed?
See it.
it's hard to see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Jim Scott gave us this.
Yeah, that was eyes only.
copy of document. Yeah. I don't know if you couldn't read
Jim
that
Scott
on
gave
my
us
copy,
this.
I guess.
Jim Scott gave us this.
Yeah. It's called Majestic 12 Group Special Operations Manual. And it's many, many pages long, and it's got all kinds of references and explanations and stuff like that. It was leaked. Chapter 6 is
One guy that just died recently,
identification. So I mean,
years ago,
it's
interviewed me at Stateville over this.
pretty deep.
Joe West?
No,
Anyway, that's
not
just,
Joe West.
just one of the pieces of evidence.
No, the
The
author.
story
He
is
wrote a
true.
bunch of books.
Y'all go ahead. You're not muted.
Oh, is a JFK author?
Yeah,
Huh. He just died?
yeah, a few years ago. The hell was his name? He interviewed me. He interviewed me with one bank bar.
That was me.
Yes, but there was another man there. Who was the guy that was the book author? He wrote Double Cross or something.
Oh, Jim Mars.
Jim Mars, yeah, Jim Mars.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say about Jim Mars.
Oh, Jim Mars and this UFO and Gordon Gray. He asked you about Gordon
Yeah.
Gray when you did your 2003 interview.
Yeah. You all know who Jim Mars was, so. But he was
Yeah,
the one
sure.
that handled the interview. I was still locked up in prison. That was his Stateville. And he come there to interview me when he first mentioned UFOs. I told him, I said, I refuse to put in the book. People think I'm crazy as it is. I said, I don't want to talk about UFOs, but I do want to talk about Gordon Gray. Was Gordon Gray really with Majestic 12? And he said, yes, he was.
Yeah.
And there was a picture of you and him in Florida somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I had a house there in Florida with plastic pink flamingos that everybody was buying back then. You stick them down in the soil in the yard.
Uh-huh.
So
I had a hard
Let's,
time coming up with Jim Mars' name because this is a stroke. I forgot a lot of the names of the people that I knew and people that I talked to, and I learned and different things because my memory's not as sharp as it used to be. And thank God Pamela had me get together with her, and we put the book Primary Target out before I had the stroke.
Yeah.
so let's talk about your book, Files, the Primary Target, and so
Primary
people can.
Target. It's got a lot of details in it.
Yeah, it's a great book, and so we've talked about it before on the show, but and
Yeah,
we talked about how
I
people
think
can get it.
yeah. Primary Target, and not all of my life, but some of my life. I made some of the points there. My wife does not know everything that I did. And a lot of people said, "Oh, why didn't you take your wife's name if you wanted to get away from the name of Files or something?"
We'll fix it.
But on the back page, the back cover, it's me standing behind the tombstone of Nicholas grew up in the 40s together. Him and Milwaukee Phil was partners for a long time, but when Milwaukee Phil stepped down from it and decided to remain in the shadows for a while, I became Chuck's partner in a lot of the hits. And the ledger that I had burned had over 60 hits in it with Charles Nicoletti and me in it.
Wait, because it's spinning and it might not be hearing you.
No, we got it. You're good.
Yeah.
Did you hear all that about me standing back of Nicoletti's grave tombstone?
Yeah, that was good
And
insight. I
I'm
didn't know. I didn't realize that.
Phil, yeah, okay.
Ask if there's any questions, because
Yeah, is there any questions
from
that you want to
people that
and the people that's watching the show?
this might be one of the last chances to
Yeah.
get it.
As far as I'm concerned, this will possibly and probably be one of my last interviews. Now, Dory is going to come out with a feature on the documentary. But when it will be released, I don't know. But Dory came here and
No, Matt, the guys that filmed you in 2023 are coming out with the documentary.
yeah, okay, Matt
Dory's not
Guthrie,
going to
yeah,
have a
okay.
documentary.
Matt Guthrie. I get people mixed up. Like I said, since the stroke, my mind is not as sharp as it used to be. They're going to do a feature thing. It's supposed to be on the History Channel or something, and it'll be about me and the JFK assassination and my part of my life in that.
We'll see.
Very nice.
And so far, Matt told me they had $50 million for the full-length feature cinema movie they want to do. They said the movie's going to cost like $100 million, and they got $50 million already towards the cinema. Who will play my part? I don't know, but I'll be dead before. Excuse me. I'll probably be dead before they ever get the movie out.
Tell them what type of person I told them to look for
I
to
forget.
play your part.
Oh, the NASCAR driver. She's a
A young NASCAR driver.
young NASCAR driver to play my part.
They want to look for that
Yeah.
type of physique. The young NASCAR driver.
So anyway, I'm getting a little bit confused. It's about time for me to go lay down. I'll try and hang on for a few more minutes.
All right. Well, we thank you. So a lot of questions are about, why you went to prison, but we've discussed that. Now, Hillary Clinton, tell us how she was involved in you being targeted like that. That would be phenomenal.
I was targeted because I was one of the last people to survive that could put her bill with a load of drugs in Arkansas, in Mena, Arkansas.
Cocaine.
Load of cocaine, marijuana, whatever was flying in. And I used to fly with Barry Seal. Sometimes we'd fly in the same plane. Other times he used his plane, and I flew a DC-3, which is a military transport name. It'd be a C-47, depending on how it was fixed out. And Hillary, anyway, she's cleaning up all the loose ends. And Bill was running for president. And the two amateur cops, they'd been on the force 10 years and 12 years. And I hate to call them amateur cops, but they were amateur assassins. They come after me and my partner, David Morley. And we won the shootout, but I lost the battle in court. And I wound up with a 50-year sentence. But I sentenced under the old law, which meant I had to do day for day, which meant I had to serve 25 years. And when I first started out there doing the time, people found out who I was. And they come there, they wanted to do an interview with me on the Kennedy assassination. It was on a Sunday morning. I had the warden, Salvatore Godinez. I had him call up Ann Richards, which was the governor of Texas at that time in the early 90s. And I talked to her, and she said, first of all, Godinez told her, said, I have a prisoner here in Illinois. She said, the governor Richards, he says, that claims he knows you, and he said he wanted to talk to you. And he said, he's doing time by the name of James Files, but he said you'd only know him as Jimmy Sutton. And she said, I put Jimmy on the phone. He said, well, I got him on a speakerphone. Now, and I said, I've got shot. And she said, you always was a bad boy. She says, but she says, you've been in Illinois, I cannot help you. And I said, well, I ain't worried about getting help or assistance there. I said, what I wanted to find out is if Texas would indict me for the assassination of John F. Kennedy, because I'm going to do the interview. She says, Jimmy, go ahead and do the interview, because Texas will never indict you for the assassination of JFK. And she said, we'd build you a Lincoln monument instead. And so I laughed and she laughed, and that was it. But she swore like a sailor. And I went ahead and I gave the interview, and I was threatened by the FBI. If I gave the interview, my appeal would be denied. They would get the charges that were dismissed against me reinstated, and they would take me back to court and get me more time. And in very unpleasant words, I told the FBI to go do it. And I gave the interview. And a couple of weeks after I gave the interview, my appeal was denied. I was resentenced. I got those counts reinstated. I went before the judge. The judge gave me another 30 years and ran it consecutive to the 50, which meant I had a total of 80 years to do, which had to do 40. I spent the next 2.5 years, and the entire court case is in the book, Primary Target, and how I got the time.
In the papers.
And
yeah.
So the judge gave me 30 years on it. I told the judge to go blank himself, and believe it or not, it was all over with, and I got out. The judge wanted to take me and my wife out for dinner, and he told a couple of people, he said, I admire the guy. And he said, why? He said, he's the only guy that stood in the courtroom and looked me in the face and told me to go blank myself. Because I told him I didn't remember having a trial on the reinstated. And he says, it's okay. And I asked him what he didn't understand about it and why didn't he go blank himself, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, me and the judge, we never had no problems. And I didn't threaten anybody, except I sent a message to Ostertag. He was the cop that got shot. And the message I sent him was that he was a very bad shot. And he claimed over 50 rounds was fired. And he was the only one that got hit out of the 50 rounds.
And the message
So
sent back to you is that he said he agrees he was a lousy
Yeah.
shot.
The guy that delivered the message came and saw me and met me and my wife and Nick Keller and a couple of other people at Granny's Restaurant in Antioch, Illinois. And the girl come over that morning there, and she said, so-and-so told me that he would like to come and have a talk with you and give you the answer that the message you sent to Ostertag. I said, you got time, come on over. So I had another cup of coffee after having breakfast and sit there, and I talked to the guy when he come over. He only lived about 10 minutes from Granny's, so he's come over there right away, and we talked and we laughed, and he said, Ostertag said you was right. He was a lousy shot. Because they shot the windshield out, the rearview mirror out, the side windows out, and everything else, all kind of holes in the car. And I had rounds of ammunition flying through my hair, and I had long hair at that time. And
Wow.
How they missed me at 10 feet, I'll never understand. It's only I say is the good Lord's will.
I believe so. I think that God kept you here so you can talk about all this.
Yeah. And his Ostertag's partner was Gary Bittner.
Scott, go ahead.
Hey, James
That's
Files.
about
Oh gosh, he cut out. When he comes back, can y'all hear me? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
white.
when he come, all right, can you hear me, Jimmy?
Yeah. Oh, the other John.
yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, do me a favor, Pam, put your mute button on for a second, because it's bleeding over, and maybe that'll help. Okay, so
the mute button.
mute. Do you know how to do that? Okay, she got it. All right, so this might help. So just for a second, and you just listen to me. I'm not going to be specific. I'm not going to let anything out. For posterity's sake, I've got a text message here from one of your friends that said to please ask Jimmy to tell the story of when he was sent to Antarctica, to the South Pole, and I'm not going to read the rest of it, but it's involving a hit that you did for the agency. And just for history's sake, could you tell the story but not give any details about what the number of the targets, but what they were? And then we could, after you're dead and gone, we can tell the rest of the story. Can you tell it in just general terms? You'll have to unmute your phone too. Pam, if you can hear me. Go ahead and unmute.
I'm unmuting the microphone, and I couldn't really hear what you were asking because it was
Okay.
cutting out.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Jim, in general
Yes.
terms, in general terms, but don't say what the target was. Explain. You've got somebody that's texted in a question that wants to know about the mission to the South Pole, to the Antarctica, but don't say what the targets were, but just the number of the targets and kind of what happened, and then we could fill the details in after you're gone. Can you do that?
We're only getting a couple words every other time. Every little bit.
Okay. How about now?
Say it again. We didn't hear it.
We're getting messed with here.
Say
Can you
quick
hear
and
me
to the
loud
point,
and clear,
Scott.
Michael and Jim Manning? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Jimmy, what Files, what he's asking, you did an operation down to Antarctica, and without saying who the target was and anything other than that, how many people did you take out, and any other details that you can give us, and we'll fill in the blanks after you've passed.
You in my lifetime of been 28 years.
No, the mission you did to Antarctica, the South Pole.
Oh, the Antarctica mission.
Oh, in Antarctica. It wasn't people. It was hybrids where they'd mixed DNAs, and I don't know what you would want to call them, but it was hybrids, and they couldn't even speak English. I mean, they just squealed and moaned and yelled a lot, and we probably killed over 40 of them. It was loose. They got loose at the Antarctica.
How tall were they?
Yeah, they were approximately 4.5 to 5 foot. What they were, I don't know. They were aliens or something from outer space, or if it's something that they mixed their DNA crossbreeding, I have no idea, and I wasn't filling in on it. I was just told it was a mop up deal that we went there for, and we did that. We got rid of them because the people that would created them, I guess, were scared of them or whatever. So we shot and killed them, and they died easily.
Oh my God, that's incredible, share. Wow, good ones, Jim Scott. That was over the top. Wow.
You've got to understand all the different countries like Russia and I guess Germany and United States. We all had a piece of Antarctica down there, and we had these camps down there. And there's large caves that you could go in, and they worked in, and they had nuclear facilities down there. And one of the cover stories was we had to clean up, mop up down there because they had a nuclear problem, and there was gray pellets or light green pellets of iridescent all over the ground.
He cut out again for me. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
When he pops back in, I'll tell you. But I never dreamed in my wildest dreams that he would
They
say.
sent me and my team there. They needed somebody close by, and we was in Chile, and I grabbed some of my members there, and we flew us down there, and we landed there. They kept the plane running, and they couldn't shut it off because it's so cold that the fuel would freeze up in the lines. So they had heaters out there, big heaters that are blowing hot air on the airplane. So we went in there, and about 3.5 hours later, we come out, got on the plane, and flew back to Chile.
Wow.
Wait till they can hear you and you can hear them.
We can hear you right at the end. If you can hear,
All right,
you hear me
he's
now?
cutting in and out. Let's promote his book real good.
Go ahead.
You can do it, Jim. Go ahead.
Well, we need to talk about Jim Manning's book too, because I feel like
definitely.
But Primary Target JFK is available at their website, and it's JFK Murder jamesfiles.weebly.com, and the first edition hardcover autographed with a thumbprint is available in it. And I believe these are going to be worth a mint someday. Because the truth is coming out, and I really also believe that Jim Manning's book is a huge release on the JFK assassination. Because if I could say there were three things that would prove this whole thing, one would be the pictures we've shown tonight of James Files with the Operation 40 group and Che Guevara. Two would be Jim Manning's book, where he re-releases the information that was released in the book Regicide, which is the Operation Zipper document. And then the third thing is, just a comprehensive, not only the book Primary Target JFK, but the comprehensive details that nobody else knew. You know what I mean? And so it's sad that we're having these technical issues tonight, cutting in and out. But Patriotism Unhinged is probably the only place you'll almost never find it. I'll let Jim talk about his own book, but man, to find the details of the Operation Zipper document, the only place right now you can get it at any of a reasonable price is Jim Manning's book, and his YouTube videos. The audience, man, they ought to go viral because Jim released the details about Chappaquiddick and about killing Mary Jo Kopechne and running the car over and all this stuff is covered in Jim Manning's YouTube videos, and that's not in his book, but the information about Operation Zipper, which was the CIA's plan to kill John F. Kennedy. The other thing too that we didn't get in a lot of detail, but David Atlee Phillips issued James Files the Remington XP100 bolt-action pistol chambered in .221 Fireball that he used to kill John F. Kennedy. So a CIA-issued pistol was used to kill Kennedy. That was the final shot. The other shots were not CIA weapons. But go ahead, Jim Manning.
Well, when you talk about the things that prove it, one of the things that I believe is most important is that whenever the guy in the tower was talking to Mark Lane years ago, he said that he was in the tower and he heard a bang, and he also saw a big flash. And he said that brought his attention over to the fence, he said. And later, maybe a few minutes later, he brings it up again. He said, yeah, that flash is what really got my attention. Well, when Jim Scott sent that picture, which we had up a little while ago, of him shooting a XP, that sealed it for me, that would be the thing that everybody would say, well, who else had one of those guns? And that's the flash that Lee Bowers is talking about. And that sewed it up. And so any lingering people, I've been pushing that today. Anyway,
at least we got most of it done without it turning into spin and spin.
Thanks, Pamela and James Files.
Yeah. No, they're leaving, I guess. Well, anyway, this is my book, Patriotism Unhinged, and I'll tell you why it is important. Whenever the Central Intelligence Agency put Operation Zipper in effect. When they put it in effect, they didn't. Let's see. I dropped my microphone a minute ago. They when they put it in they start again. The book Regicide came out.
Can you hear me now, Jim?
Yeah. The book Regicide came out in 2002. That was it wasn't a admission of guilt. It was wanting to take credit for the assassination of John Kennedy. They did that because is Jim's wanting to talk? Is that?
Yeah, he keeps going in and out, unfortunately, though.
Yeah.
Pam, if you can hear us, mute your phone. You've got bad service there, and it's cutting in and out, and we can hear you talking.
Anyway,
Jim, man.
So this book was written by Gregory Douglas. However, it was all information that he got from one of the top men. His name was Robert Trumbull Crowley. And he wanted to take credit for it because he believed that the Kennedys had committed treason. And he didn't want it to come out until after his death. So he interviewed a number of people. He chose one. The one that he chose was somebody that was also an intelligence writer. He was born in Germany, but came over like when he was a baby. And he had written a historical book on Heinrich Müller. Now, Heinrich Müller was the head of the Gestapo. And in 1946, 7, whenever the United States engaged in Operation Paperclip, they brought over between 1,700 and 2,200 Nazi specialists, Werner von Braun, for example. But they had people that were in intelligence and rocketry and all. They brought them all over. And unfortunately, they didn't want anybody to know that they were bringing Heinrich Müller, the head of the Gestapo, in because of what it would do to the American Israelis. So they knew that he knew about that. And so they were afraid to go too far with him. They kept telling the agency kept telling Robert Trumbull Crowley not to talk to him. But anyway, he did anyway because he knew that was the right guy to do the book. So when he died, Crowley's son gave all of the documents that he had taken out of Langley because he was the main guy doing the paperwork on the assassination. So he had they were marked secret, top secret, and there's many documents, but the main ones have been hidden because when the book was published, they published 10,000 copies of it. And somebody at the CIA was asleep at the switch. And they started mailing them out to people who had pre-ordered them. And they sent them out to all of their customers who were bookstores and libraries. So what they did was they went immediately to the publisher. They commandeered all the books that were on that property. They made them give them a list of all the copies that were sent to bookstores. And they and other American agencies like the FBI and other ones went out and they picked up all the books that were in the libraries and in the stores. And then they weren't even happy with that because they put an article, made an ad that they placed somewhere where they thought people that read a lot might see it. And it said that if you had a copy of Regicide, you could send it to them and they'd give you $100 for it. And so they come flying in. And so in order for me to get a copy, it took me 2 years. And and I had to pay $300 for the copy of the book. Now, in that book, all the information that anybody would want and need on the assassination is in it. But recently, after my book came out, I started to see that that came out on Kindle. And since I had the book, I didn't go to Kindle and read it. And just last week, studying some European stuff that I do, I found out that it is published again on Kindle, but they had to take out 4 main sections of the book. So I think it's like, instead of having 250 pages, it's 139 or something. So all the good stuff is gone. And a lot of that was elements of Russian communiques between the United States back to Moscow, and then it was interpreted by the DIA, and so all of that information I don't think is probably going to get to Anna Paulina Luna that she's expecting, or maybe already has. But besides getting one of those books, which, like I say, are 2 years and $300, this book is the only other book that I know in the world that has that information in it. This is it. Now you can get this on Kindle for, I don't know, $8, $10. And I think the paperback is under $20. And they do have the hard copies too. So anyway, I make
You got
that
an audiobook too. Good job.
Yes, it's on audio. It's actually on 337 platforms around the world, and
Wow.
It's available in Germany. It's selling well in England, Australia, Canada, and also surprisingly in Japan, and also. I was told that anybody from those countries that asks for it in that language, they get it in that language. So we want to get the information out. It's not about making money. I can tell you, haven't made a penny on the book. It costs quite a bit to do this, to make a book. And the average book, when you self-publish it, and the reason it's self-published is because I own the copyright. The book that was written before Regicide was printed by a company. And so when you print it by a big company, they own half the copyright and the writer owns half the copyright. But they can sell their copyright to the government, and that's the end of the story. So I didn't do this to make money. I did it to get the information out. That's what I am all about. And so I'm hoping that we will get the call from the Anna Paulina Luna to come up there, because I think we can make it'll be a real eye opener, and it doesn't matter to the people up there whether the information is good for Democrats or Republicans. Everybody wants to find out how this really happened. And I thank you all.
Hey, Michael,
Yes.
can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, this is I've got 3 copies, and I've had 5 of them, 2 of them I've sold. Can you see it clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the original copy he was alluding to, Regicide. The Official Assassination of John F. Kennedy by Gregory Douglas. And these books, I've seen these sell on eBay for $450. Jim's book contains the most important part of this book, and you can find this online, Regicide, but it's had Appendix A has been removed. And if you want to, we probably should do a show in the future and talk just about this document, because Donald Trump said he was going to release all the JFK documents, and you probably can't see it very well, but the Appendix A in this book, this is the cover. There's a table of contents. The original book, and I'll hold it just up for a second. The original document is supposedly 92 pages long. The meat of it is 28 pages. It has the, what do you call it, Jim? The statement of, what's it called? Jim Manning's got really good YouTube videos about this. It's the statement of policy. And I'll read the first couple lines. But the magic of this document, okay, that is in the original book, this is the smoking gun document that proved the CIA killed John F. Kennedy. And I'm going to make another revelation right here. In a way, because of they operate under Title 50 of the U.S. Code, which means they can kill people that are a threat to U.S. Sovereignty and national security. Basically, what the CIA did is they had this kangaroo court, and it's called Operation Zipper. Probably 5 or 6 people knew about it. I would say Alan Dulles and James Jesus Angleton and John McCone, because he was the new DCI, Robert Trumbull Crowley, William King Harvey, and a couple others, the people at the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover. Lyndon Johnson was he was a conspirator, like cooperative. He was going to gain. He wasn't going to be indicted on all those murders and all that agricultural grant money that he had stolen from the government. And he was going to become the president of the United States. So he had a lot to gain. But this document that's in Jim Manning's book is the smoking gun that proves the CIA killed John F. Kennedy. But why is that? Well, they operate under Title 50, not Title 10, like the U.S. military, that gives the U.S. military to go to foreign countries and kill people and is legal. Title 50 is what they use to do assassinations. So you would have to prove or accuse and convict somebody of high treason or some kind of, something of national security. And John F. Kennedy was sharing the presidential daily briefing from the CIA with the Russians. And that's what they said that he did. Now, it doesn't say that in this document, but that's what it was. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. recently released in an interview that the wires for the red telephone that was in his father's home that they used to talk to the KGB colonel, those wires are still, that telephone line is still in his home to this day. But in the statement of policy, it basically says the removal of the president and the attorney general, which would have been Robert Kennedy, from their positions because of high treason has been determined. This is the smoking gun that made it legal for the CIA to kill John F. Kennedy and Robert. And they did kill both of them. Sirhan Sirhan did not kill Robert Kennedy. He was killed by a CIA operative named Thane Caesar. And Jim Manning's book, Patriotism Unhinged, is an update really to this book. If you can get your hands on this, once in a while they pop up on eBay. I look for them all the time. I've found them from $50 to $300. And I've seen them on there for $450, $500, but I'm not going to pay that for it because I already have 3 copies. And actually I've had 5 copies, but sold 2 of them to friends of mine. Jim Manning's book is the smoking gun under Title 50 because the CIA needed a reason. So they had this kangaroo court. They convicted him of high treason. And now under Title 50, because he's an enemy of the state, so to speak, they can kill him. And that's what they did. But Jim Manning's book is brilliant. It's regicide, you know, section 2 is really what it is. But also it includes, so the first like 6 pages are the statement of policy. And then there's a page of abbreviations for the code, so you can decode the next several pages. There was a couple pages in there, and if you want to pull them up, there's 2 pictures I sent you of John F. Kennedy's head. So the Operation Zipper document, the first 5 or 6 pages are the statement of policy. Then there were photographs, autopsy photographs of JFK. Then there was all these notes of the meetings that were taken by Robert Trumbull Crowley, the deputy director for clandestine operations, okay, at the CIA. And guys like that have to make some pretty serious decisions that involve national security. And I'll tell you one that was done by a friend of mine. I went to college at the Citadel in Charleston, South Carolina. I was just at my 45th reunion this weekend. I spoke with Nancy Mace, the Republican from South Carolina, and I'm talking to her director of operations now about getting to speak, or to have us speak at this oversight committee in Congress, and getting Jimmy to be able to be interviewed there. But a guy that was a class behind me in 1981 is Greg Vogel. And Greg is a college professor. It's on the internet. He's at the George Bush School of Intelligence at Texas A&M University now. He's retired from the CIA. He went to the Citadel, was in the Marine Corps. I won't tell you the whole story, but he went to the CIA. I think you worked with Greg in Afghanistan. He was chief of station there twice.
Chief of station in Afghanistan, yeah. Great guy.
Yeah, Greg, he is a great American. He won the, I think it's called the Distinguished Intelligence Star. It's equal to the Medal of Honor. He's the guy that saved Hamid Karzai's life in an accidental bombing. But Hamid Karzai, and this is the kind of decision the guy has to make. Greg didn't make this decision, but somebody came up with the idea that Hamid Karzai was going to be the president of Afghanistan after we overthrew the country. And that's what we did. And they put Hamid Karzai, they named the airport Hamid Karzai International Airport there, okay? But Hamid Karzai is not what his biography says he is. When he was hired, basically recruited by the CIA to be the president of Afghanistan, he was a hot dog vendor on the mall in Washington, D.C. But the biggest reason that he was recruited by the CIA, it's absolutely true. Eric Prince verified that from Blackwater, okay? But when Hamid Karzai got recruited to be the president of Afghanistan, the biggest reason was, several reasons. He could speak English well, he was pro-American, all that kind of stuff. But his brother, which might actually be a half-brother, Walid, is the biggest opium dealer in Afghanistan. And shortly before the United States pulled out of Afghanistan, the facility he was in was bombed and he was killed. Imagine that. But Hamid Karzai's brother, and I don't know if you know the story, but Karzai bugged out of Afghanistan right before it fell with millions of dollars in a private jet. So who knows? He's probably owns one of those big houses on the Intercoastal Waterway in Miami, I imagine, down there next to Zelensky's house. But he was a hot dog vendor. His brother was the biggest opium dealer in Afghanistan, and the Taliban had about run off all the opium poppy growers, before we went in there. But when we went back to Afghanistan, they were producing something like 3 to 5% of the world's opium. But by the time we left, they were producing like 97% of the world's opium. Now, what does that tell you? I forget the name of the city. If we'll do a show in the future and talk just about Operation Zipper and like Jim Manning's book and talk about the relevance and the weight of this document, there you go. Those would have been, those autopsy photographs, that picture and the other one I sent you would have been, now you can tell if you really look at that he was hit in the temple. Okay, it blew the whole backside of his head out. There's another picture that I sent you that's a 221 fireball from 29.3 yards, 88 feet from the picket fence, 50 grain bullet, boom. I got one of the boxes of the ammunition on my mantle back there. And I could show one of the XP100s if you want to, but Jim Manning's book, it reveals everything that this book, the CIA tried to cover up. Regicide, you can't find these books anywhere hardly, but Jim Manning's book's got it's all in there. And it's got that. So the first section was a statement of policy. Second section, there you go. That's what happens when a little 50 grain bullet going about 2,700 feet per second. And it was a mercury bullet too.
Mercury.
Yep. You know, I mean, it was filled. You can make those easy. If you take I've got, actually when Walt Burger bullets are really famous right now, Burger match bullets. But when Walt started that company, he lived out near Tucson. There were high school kids in the afternoon that would come to his house and work in his garage. And he was making these handmade match bullets. But now it's a big bullet company. Somebody bought it and expanded it, and they got machines making them. But the original handmade Walt Burger match bullets, you can put mercury in them. You can put whatever you want. You can put water in them and freeze them. You can do whatever. All it takes is a bullet mold, and you just have to have the press to put them together. But going back to Robert Trumbull Crowley, if he hadn't released this document and then Gregory Douglas hadn't written this book, Regicide, I don't know if Jim Manning would have ever known about that kind of stuff. But God moved him to write this book, Patriotism Unhinged, I think. And I'll tell you, I think it ought to be the biggest bestseller in New York Times, history, because it is the smoking gun that proves that the government killed John F. Kennedy.
Well, there were other people involved too, like the oil barons, like Jim talks about in Chapter 8.
Yeah. There was a lot of reasons that they killed Kennedy. They wanted the Vietnam War. He wanted to get rid of the Federal Reserve. Marilyn Monroe's leaking the UFO stuff. Yeah, all that stuff. I mean, he just pissed off too many people, And go ahead, Jim.
I was just saying oil depletion allowance. Also wanting to team up with the Russians on space exploration. They had. I don't have a perfect answer on this, but I understand from some readings that they had started to decrease the number of nuclear they had at that time. They were going to get down to where they had a certain number, but it wasn't going to be as high as it is now. And so there was a lot of people, Israel, they were fighting like hell to get the nuclear bomb, and he wouldn't give it to them. And then it was another spy, our head spy, James Jesus Angleton, was spying for the Israelis and gave them what they needed to do it. So, they would turn around and kill him. But anyway, there's a list. I could probably make up like 12 different groups that were very happy that he was killed. Not to mention all the companies that were in the military-industrial complex.
That's right. And one of the ironic things, and Michael knows this, but I like to mention it when we get on this subject. After Kennedy was killed, they buried him at sea, And I've recently heard somebody said that because he was a Navy man, Robert F. Kennedy requested this. But nobody has ever made that public, and I think it was spite because he had mercury in his head, and if they left his body in the grave, but his body's not in his grave in Arlington National Cemetery. It's out in the ocean. But like you were talking about, there's a lot of people that wanted him dead, but I think it was a cruel joke. He was buried in a white concrete box that had holes in it. And if you go on Main Street, about a block from Dealey Plaza, there's a big JFK memorial there. And it's a white concrete box with these circles on it. Now, who in the world would think to memorialize John F. Kennedy's life by a white open box? That is, there it is right there. And all it is like 4 walls with gaps in it so you can walk into it. And all that is an inside joke to the people that know that they buried him in a concrete box off of where is
Nantucket?
it? Yeah, Nantucket. Yeah, out there where, and it's probably not too far from where John Jr. was, because he was buried off a U.S. naval vessel, and Ted was there at the ceremony, I think. So
I don't think they killed him.
who? John? They're saying he's still alive. I've heard that. I wish they would show it. I mean,
Who's
if they
that?
could bring it out. John F. Kennedy
Jr.
Who's
Jr.
still alive?
John F.
Jeff
Kennedy
Jr.
Jr.
still
They
alive?
think he is.
Oh, yeah.
That maybe they,
Well,
they faked his death, maybe, because there was a rumor that Hillary was going to have him killed because she was trying to run. What is she?
Sure, yeah.
She's from Chicago. Her dad was associated with the mafia. She was the wife of the governor of Arkansas, and all of a sudden, New York elects her as their senator. That's as shady as it gets,
Yeah.
But anyway,
Boy.
All right, gentlemen. It's been an epic show, and we have to mute you, Jim. Get something strange going on with your.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, it's no wonder that the people of the United States can't understand that all these things could happen. It's just like a movie, to them. It's hard for them to believe. It was hard for me to believe. I mean, it took me 60 years to finally let it all sink in. And I tried to get somebody else to write this book. I'm not a writer, and couldn't do it for 5 years. And so I decided I'd take a shot at it. But almost everything that we talk about is something like, wow. And I'm now featuring on, because so many people now don't know about all the killings. And so I'm working off of, what's his name, the comedian? Belzer, yeah. Great book, by the way. Hit list, great book. I've been working off that list and building what I say are bricks. 2-3 people on each YouTube that I do. I tell why they were killed, who they were, if we know who killed them, and why. And the responses that I'm getting on YouTube are just fantastic. I never knew this. I never heard of that. If I ever get up to that Washington committee, I think I might start off with saying, how many of you that are on this committee know that Hamid Karzai sold hot dogs outside here? Because to them, that would be like, when I heard that, I said, oh my God. But Jim's right. They do things like that to show for like comedy, for comedy. Very few people know that. And so it's very hard when you're fighting millions of dollars. They have unlimited funds. And one thing that a lot of people don't know about the CIA, you mention any paper in the United States, there's probably somebody from the CIA, and the big papers like the New York Times and the Washington Post and Chicago Tribune and all those papers. I bet you they have 15, 20 people. Most of them are in editing and they're in all different things they do, but they can see everything that's coming in and they can stop it. And that's why nothing gets out. And same things in the magazines. So with all that money and all those people that they can put in place, and it's very, very difficult to get anything out. And so I love internet, because without the internet, there probably was never going to be a chance. But they didn't see the internet when this all happened, like they didn't see the technical advancement in photography, that people that took just little tiny 4x6 pictures in Dallas that day of the crowd or this, that, how they have been blown up to where we now see that W. Bush at 17 years old was in Dealey Plaza on the day of the assassination of the 35th president of the United States. And must have been CIA bring your kid to work day, because his dad was also there with him. And Ed Lansdale all of a sudden is in Dealey Plaza, the head of the CIA and the government's black operations at that time. I mean, we wouldn't have these pictures. We wouldn't know all this. But anyway, enough.
Hey, Michael, I want to take like a minute to expound on one thing that Jimmy said. I never dreamed in my wildest dreams that he would expose that one thing. But our friend Daniel Facina texted me and he said, see if you can get Jimmy to comment about the Antarctica mission. Okay, so just for your audience, he was in Central America doing operations in the area where Hassenfusch was shut down. They were flying into Nicaragua. They're running cocaine. Okay, he gets this mission. His mercenary group, which was part of, he worked for United Fruit Company under the name Colonel John Felter. Okay, that was one of his aliases. He had 32 different State Department passports with different names on them at the time. But on paper, his paycheck was to Colonel John Felter, and it went to the CIA's bank in Miami, then was transferred to his bank in Chicago where his family lived on his money. Okay, so he gets tasked to go to the South Pole. He goes down there, and they say, hey, we've got these hybrids. They're like, and he said he wasn't sure if they were hybrids or aliens, but they were in some kind of detention facility, and they had gotten out of their area, and they couldn't control them, and they couldn't get them back into whatever they were, like control rooms or a certain floor of the facility, but it was multiple floors underground. And they flew them out there. They give them their weapons. They said, this is what they look like. He said they had blue skin, and their skin looked like the hide of an elephant or rhinoceros. It was kind of like cracked. It was like a leathery, sort of, not like our epidermis, but like a leathery hide, that they really had an animal look to them. And they couldn't control them. They were in the facility running loose. And he told them, go kill them. And his team went down there. They went down a few floors on elevators, and they went back and killed all of them. Then they went back up, had to sign non-disclosure agreements, and were told, okay, get back on the plane. And they were flown right back to Central America. It didn't last that long, just a couple days. In my wildest dreams, I didn't think he would disclose that, because he told me he didn't want it. And he's been on a UFO recovery thing too. And he doesn't want to talk about it because he feels like the average person that listens to this would go, oh, this is bullshit. There's no such thing as aliens, that kind of thing. And he said, you lose your audience and people think you're crazy. So he never wanted to talk about that. And I said, do you mind if I tell the story after you die? And he said, yeah, you can. I don't care what you say after I die, But one of our buddies texted me and said, see if you can get Jimmy to, just in general terms, just verify that he did a hit for the government in Antarctica. He doesn't have to say what it was, but I was blown away that he admitted that they were the hybrids, because he didn't really know for sure what they were, but he said they weren't human. So that, to me, that kind of blows me away. I mean, that's a reveal that ought to be viral on the internet by tomorrow. It ought to be on Fox News, you know what I mean, and Newsmax or something. They say, we want to know more about that. But, here we've talked about this stuff, like Chappaquiddick. We let out that Ted Kennedy didn't really drive off the bridge drunk, that Mary Jo Kopechne was murdered and then driven off into the tidal pool. I actually sent an email with that information and that interview that Jim Manning did on YouTube to every newspaper in that area around Chappaquiddick, and gave them my phone number and everything. Not one of them called me back. So either they think I'm completely crazy, or like Jim Manning said, the CIA controls them and they know that they can't talk about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. You know what I mean? They say, oh, my career will be over if I report this truth. You know what I mean? That's what it is. They don't have the guts to stand up and say, this is what our government is involved in. And we can fix it. We don't need to be doing, some of this stuff like, I don't know, they say that there's alien hybrids that live amongst us now. That's been going on for a long time, and all these other subjects that they talk about, I don't think we should be afraid of any of it. Did we really go to the moon? I don't know. There's so many things that you could talk about that are political, but I think when Jim revealed that tonight, I never thought he would reference to what they were, But it really happened. It's amazing.
It is amazing. All right, gentlemen, thanks so much. Yeah, that one thing that he shared, that one thing alone is like, that's worth millions, trillions. It's a blowout. And thank you, gentlemen, because you guys have been on the cutting edge of this information, pushing the truth when the truth, a lot of people don't want this truth to get out there. So lots of bravery from both of you. And, I and the rest of my audience in the world salute you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.